Hello, viewers. So, welcome to one more episode of DM Neurology Made Easy. So, this session is based on the frequently asked questions which comes to me through messages and phone calls regarding which all books to read during their DM Neurology 3-year course in various institutes and medical colleges as well as DNB hospitals across India. So, first of all, I would like to congratulate all the aspirants who had got their institution of their choice and had entered the DM Neurology 3-year course. And I'm happy that they made this far. And with that, we'll start the session. That is, which all books to read, which all books you should have in your hand, either as a hard copy or a soft copy for learning and understanding neurology better in your studies, during your studies of DM Neurology. So I am Dr. Ahmed Subair, Assistant Professor in Neurology at NMS Medical College, Kerala. I have compiled this data from various or after in doing a research, talking to various consultants, teachers, and even students, and added my opinion along with that to come to a conclusion. So you can take the advice, and also you must know that all the institutes or medical colleges have their customized way of learning. So it is not necessary that this all fits into everyone, but try get understanding of what all books are usually followed, and change it or buy the books or read the books based on your institute, customized based on your institute. So now, first of all, I would like to throw light into what are the standard textbooks. So as you know, while you was preparing for NEET, Harrison was the Bible, but now it is Bradley. So this is year 2020 December. So at this point, actually Bradley previous edition, seventh edition is on the run. But I should warn you, these books gets re-edited or renewed every 5 years. So all the updates of the past 5 years will be pending, and the new edition of Bradley will come into market by about March 2021. So those who are right now planning to buy the book, I think they should defer buying the book and wait till about 3 months, that is till March 2021. Until then, they can follow the PDF version of the book, which is freely available, and start reading the newer Bradley once you get that in hand. And also ways I used to tell in the NEET entrance preparation that Harrison is the book you should follow. You at this point of time, if you think that Bradley is very tough to crack and read, then you should fall back to Harrison for specific topics and read Harrison because you are already thorough with it. That's the reason why you have entered the course. So just read through it and then come back to Bradley for a better understanding of the subject and the topic. And clinical books that Bradley would be the textbook of choice there for learning theory mainly. And one more book is there, Adams. But most of the institutes follow Bradley, and if your institute follows Adams, definitely go for Adams. But Bradley has got a better understanding of the subject rather than Adams. So I would suggest Bradley for your 3-year DM course. Then clinical neurology is an integral part of learning neurology during your course. And two books which are usually used are very useful are, one is the Localization in Clinical Neurology by Paul Breezes, and the other one is a Dijon, which you must have been using in your MD time. So to step your preparation ahead, one step ahead, I think at this point of time, you should go with the Localization in Clinical Neurology. Both the books has got its own advantages and disadvantages. The clinical neurology localization has got extensive subject matter in especially the clinical aspect in certain parts, like example, spinal cord, third nerve, the diplopia part, nystagmus, etc., nystagmus, gaze, etc., are extensively given in braces. Also, the cerebral cognition and the parts of the brain, blood supply, etc., are well written in braces. But the problem with braces is that it is extensive and it's very difficult to continue reading braces. So, you may not be falling in love with the book just by one reading. You may think that it is very difficult because all the differentials for a single clinical sign are even given, because if they had some studies showed that some sign is present in some disease, they refer that study and show that sign as a cause of show that the disease could also develop that sign. So that kind of approach is there in braces. That is, it's very extensive, but it's worth reading, because in your clinical scenario you may get all sorts of cases, clinical conditions and signs, and that will all be dealt in braces. Dijong is a simplified version, but it has got it is easier to read and easy to understand. So if you think you are actually a you need more time to learn, it can, I think, start with Dijong and then go to braces. Or if easy way is to just start with braces and read it again and again to get acquainted with the book, so that your clinical neurology part becomes very easy. One more thing is that if you are reading both books, I think I suggest you that some terms are there more in technical jargons, and terms are more there in the Dijong. So examiner who are coming during your final year for examination, if they had read Dijong, they will definitely ask questions from that, which won't be there in braces. So after braces, if you have time, Dijong is easily a readable book. So if you have time, you can just take some points from Dijong and write down that in the corresponding braces part. So that would be a better way to go. And Bickerstaff is a handbook of neurology, which is a standard one. And you should have it in mind, especially while examination. This will be the basics of neurology, basic reflexes, how to elicit and all. But they are important in the point of view that that will be the questions which will be asked for your practical exam. To the examiner may ask you to elicit some reflexes and show. So if you do have bigger stuff, and whenever you have doubt, you can just take it from your pocket and just read it to get clarity of your clinical examination. One more book I would suggest is actually Neurological Examination Made Easy by GRK Sharma sir. This is an approach book and very useful. And if you can, you can have ward rounds in clinical neurology. This is actually a what we call a crash course book, especially about 1 week before your practical exam, because theory will be there and practical will be there. So in between there, you will get some time. So if you have read this book, you can easily answer the questions, the viva type of questions from these books. So this book also would be useful. And approach book as such, I must have told you during your NEET preparation, that is for the entrance, that the practical exams in the institutes usually ask approach questions, and this is extensively and well written in Dr. S.V. Khadilkar sir's book, that is Neurology Simplified. And it's very good to have this book in your hand, because it's a kind of an easy note which covers all the approaches very well. So especially if you have got a case, as I'll give an example, if a case of myopathy, and you first of all, before learning extensively into myopathy, various types of myopathy and all, you can just go to Kadilkar sir's book and see the approach to myopathy, and then start your theory reading and other parts. And regarding cognition, a standard book which is available is actually Strub and Black, which is the mental status examination in neurology. So it has got specific standard points which will be very useful. And if you quote from this book, because it's an internationally acclaimed standard book, no one would say that, okay, that is wrong. Because regarding cognition, many books are available in the market, and all the books have got different criteria. For example, if you are checking for fluency of words, the criteria in the other books by Indian authors would be different, and Strub and Black would be different. And if you quote Strub and Black, nobody would tell you that you are wrong. And apart from this, reading these books, that is standard textbooks and reference book, these reference book also help you in making your presentations during your course. And apart from that, definitely you need to know that there you have to read some journals. So I know that journals are scattered because stroke has stroke journals, ILE has a epilepsy journal, etc., and they are extensive and all. But easily readable one would be to follow the Neurology journal by American Association of Neurology, that is Continuum. The Continuum, you should know, the Continuum is a journal which is freely available. I will tell, if it's not freely available, you have to subscribe it and have to be a AAN member, American Association of Neurology member. But an easy way is that this access to Continuum is available. Like you can see some text or some parts are easily available. You needn't be a subscriber, but some parts actually are locked. So there is an easy way to crack in. I'll tell you. First, register for Continuum Neurology free version. Then, if whatever issues you will be able to see the issues and the contents, the current issue as well as the back issue, and the free contents you can easily download from that. But the other contents which you want to have, you can, what you need to do is take the DOI of that corresponding journal. It will be written just below the heading, and copy it and paste it in Skyhub. If you are new to Skyhub, just it is actually free access medical free access site, journal free access site. uh, so if you have Continuum, go to Continuum, click this and you will get all the contents. Some are free, some which are locked. You can take the DIO part. DOI is this part in the Continuum journal or any journal as such or any article as such, and then you can just paste it. Type Skyhub in Google, you will get this page. Just type the DOI alone and click open, and you will be able to access it. At that time itself, you download that part and keep. It's imperative to get all the downloads, and you can keep it in one folder as like stroke Continuum year February 2020. You can keep it as a folder which can be used in the later period, so that every time you needn't use the Skyhub for help. And another important part, apart from theory, clinical part, is actually the electrophysiology part in neurology. You will be having a electrophysiology lab where you will be having electroencephalography, that is EEG, nerve conduction study, electromyography, repetitive nerve stimulation, visual evoked potential, BERA, and polysomnography. These are the usual procedures. And apart from that, in our lab, we have transcranial Doppler, CV Doppler, etc. So the standard book to follow for electrophysiology is actually book written by Shapiro. This is the standard book, which has actually nerve conduction study, some repetitive nerve stimulation is there in that, and electromyography, which all books to which all muscles where the point of insertion of the needle of electromyography should be put. All are extensively and beautifully illustrated in this book. And about Indian authors, Dr. UK Mishra sir and Kalita madam had written a clinical neurophysiology book. This book covers the evoked potentials, that is evoked potential, I mean to say VEP, BERA, SSCP, somatosensory evoked potential, etc., which are not there in the Shapro, can be looked into this book. And also a simplified version of nerve conduction and electromyography are there in this book by Khalida and Mishra, Dr. Khalida madam and Dr. Mishra sir. So I would like to summarize that must-have books. You need to have this book in your hand, whatever, like either in the PDF form or in the hard copy. It's according to your wish. So Bradley's Neurology 8th edition, which will be due in March 2021. Because stuff, localization by Paul Braces or Dijong, I would say, and Neurological Examination by GRK Sharma sir. Neurology Simplified is a must-have. Electromyography and Neuromuscular Diseases by Shapiro, that is electrophysiology book, along with clinical neurophysiology book, because this evoke potential will be there only in this clinical neurophysiology by Dr. UK Mishra sir. And mental status examination, you definitely will have to have scrub and black. And continuum journals, definitely try to follow what I have said in about continuum journals. Take that all, compile the articles under one session, like stroke, muscular diseases, demyelination, etc., and keep for your future use. So that is regarding the must-have books. So in your course, I think you will be having multiple PowerPoint presentations, discussions. You may be asked extensively regarding the subjects. So apart from the standard textbook, you need to have extra reading. So extra reading just not just remain with continuum reading and all. You have to read some standard reference textbooks. So and also some author text by Indian authors, so that you will get the simplified version. You will easily understand what is there. So the most simplified cognition book we have in right now is actually a book by Dr. James Jones sir, who's the HOD of Calicut Medical College. It's actually a simplified version of what cognition is all about. And much and any step further, we have one book by Dr. Madhusudanan sir, who is a great teacher, along with Dr. Anand Kumar sir, who is also an excellent teacher. These are core concepts in cognition, which are given in a very small book, easily available book, and that is also a good book. So you can choose between you these two books and have it with you. These are actually extra books, I am telling, not the must have books. And the next book is EG textbook. This is by the great legend Dr. K Radhakrishnan sir, who was from Sri Chitra, who has come up with this book. And the JMK Murthy sir is there, who had written this book. So this book actually covers almost EG in a simplified way. And the standard reference textbook for EEG is actually Niedermeyer. So what I used to do is that EEG, I used to have multiple books, like there are some illustrative books like Stern, Hurst, etc., Hurst, etc. And for further learning the pathophysiology and hardcore EEG aspects, I used to read Niedermeyer, and I always had EEG by Radhakrishnan sir in my hand. And movement disorders, actually, you can go with either Jankovic or Marsden. I think Marsden would be a better book to for referencing for movement disorders, because it's extensively written, and we have our Indian author Kailash Bhatia sir authoring the Marsden's textbook. Kaplan's stroke. Stroke is actually a difficult thing to master, subject to master. And Kaplan's is the standard textbook you have to follow, especially you are doing a thesis on stroke or you are giving a presentation. You definitely have to read through Kaplan's that portion, and always be updated with the latest guidelines in stroke, because stroke is actually a rapidly changing field, and the latest guidelines came in AHA 2018. So every stroke you deal with, you will have to go with the guidelines part, and if you are not aware of it, it will actually cut a sorry figure. So better go with the guidelines. And neuroanatomy, it's, yeah, I have come with a I have seen a book called Draw It to Know It by in neuroanatomy by Adam Fish. So it is actually simplified version, you can easily understand the book. And otherwise you must go with the Snell's neuroanatomy, or you can go with the PowerPoint presentations used in SlideShare, etc. For example, radial now you have to study, you can just approach. But a book in hand is actually worth three in the SlideShare. So always try to have a book, either the PDF version or the hard copy. Now, neuroradiology is actually integral part of neurology. It's not a radiologist perspective or purview. You need to have some book as a soft copy at least for reading the neurology part. You have to get acquainted with the MRI slices, MRI as such, and especially the neurology and spinal part of MRI. One more book I would like to say is that I think it's a very good book, that's AIMS, MIMC, and PGI come with a diagnostic radiology book. It's an excellent book. But actually, I think neuroradiology part, you should go with that book, because so many people suggested me that book. I haven't read personally. I used to read Osborne for all my references regarding neuroradiology. For radiology, I think a better way I used to do is that I used to go to the MRI and discuss with the radiologist about the neurology cases we had. So at every time I went and discussed with them, I had some extra knowledge about the radiology part, the MRI, the T1, T2 weighted sequences, SW images, face image, etc., etc. I used to get. And one more thing is actually neuro intervention, because neuro intervention is a very upcoming field. And recently, in the IIN general body, they have decided that it is to be a part of the curriculum where the intervention is there. In our hospital, we have extensive neuro intervention, and training has been given to even the students. From the very first year, I was doing angiogram and all. At that time, what the books I followed was actually Harrigan and Devikas. And second book is actually Neuro Intervention, Internal Management, Diagnosis and Treatment book, which is so many books are there. I think Harrigan and Devikas you should have in your hand. And the other book was by Hurst, I suppose. So neurointervention is another field you should read. And as you have seen in the during your NEET preparation, pediatric neurology has got an upper hand. That is just because of the reason that more pediatric neurology seats have got approved this time. And I think it is the trend is that pediatric neurology will separate out as a separate entity or separate field, subfield in case of neurology. But as of now, I think the situation will take at least 10 years for that to happen. So till then, definitely pediatric cases would come to a neurologist, because both the pediatricians and physicians would be suggesting a neurology consult for a pediatric case. So to get acquainted with the pediatric neurology part, the best book is actually Fenicel's Clinical Pediatric Neurology. It's a standard book followed everywhere. Clinical science and everything regarding neurology is given in this book. It's a small book, you can follow that. And for better understanding and for you to be used as a reference book, Swyman's Pediatric Neurology is the standard book. So if you have to make PPTs on leukodystrophies, epilepsy syndromes, etc., you can go with this book. One more book I would suggest is actually regarding epilepsy syndromes and pediatric neurology, is a book written by Panatopoulos. So you can just type Panatopoulos epilepsy syndromes, then you will get to know that about the book. And all said and done, you have successfully joined the DM Neurology course. You have learned about the books. I don't want you to buy every book and keep, because buying a book and keeping it won't help. You have to read it. So I think the essentials books which I told initially, that must have books, I think you should have it in your hand, either buy it or have a PDF. But others you can just have a PDF and keep it for your reference. And the very important thing that is, this is actually nobody will tell you this, but I would like to tell you that you need to have memberships, especially in Indian Association of Neurology, that is IAN. It's a premier body which has all the neurologists within it. And also membership in the State Neurology Association. The importance is that it helps to keep you connected with the group of neurologists, and you will be getting messages in emails regarding the recent or upcoming conferences. The importance is that in these conferences you will be able to participate by presenting your papers, presenting your posters, presenting your studies, etc. And once you go understand or get the knowledge beforehand that this such a conference is happening, and there will be a cutoff date for abstract submission and all. So you have to have that knowledge so that can prepare early for these conferences. And getting acclaims in these conferences definitely will help you in your future, and also help you while your practical journey, because the examiner, after seeing you in many conferences, will be knowing about you. And you have presented, you can tell your head or your institute teacher will tell you, okay, you are a good presenter, good researcher, etc. The research part adds extra to your learning, especially. And that is the reason why you should be have memberships in these kind of. And if you are interested in stroke, definitely go for Indian Stroke Association membership, epilepsy association membership, etc. Even the IAN has got subsections. you can become member of subsection also. So during your studies, don't think that you cannot be a member of these associations. You can always join as an associate member. Maybe later, after you finish, you can upgrade to a life member. And IAN, I think there is no extra fees for upgrading to a life member. So if you do that, you will get many benefits, many scholarships, etc., which I had received. That's why I'm telling you, many people won't know it. If you start doing it, you will be having a better association with these other neurologists, especially seniors, etc. And you will never regret that you had joined the membership, paying a few amount like 4,000, 2,000, etc. So with that, I'll end my session. Thank you for your listening. I hope you have benefited from my this series. So continue following this group and subscribe for each information, so that you get a notification of the each session I am putting up. So with that, I'll end this session. Thank you and all the best for your journey in the 3-year DM course. Thank you.